You're listening to Food Rebels, and welcome. This is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs and live on-air tastings. A show that's dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world, where we celebrate the people who have challenged the status quo. We'll be giving you a peek behind the curtains and inside the minds of the people who are shaking up our food industry. You know me, I'm the show host, AJ Sharp, taste expert, food writer, great taste food judge, and of course, business owner. I love meeting new people and tasting new foods. So, sit back as we hear more stories from people in food who dare to be different. Well, hello. I'm really excited to introduce Imme Ermgassen. Welcome, founder of Botivo.
Hi, nice to be here.
So nice to meet you. Tell me about Botivo.
Botivo, so Botivo, for those that don't know it, it's a big sipping botanical aperitivo. That's what we call it. It's non-alcoholic, but also people use it with alcohol. But the product itself has got a sort of very bittersweet, herbal, citrusy taste profile. And we make it ourselves in Hertfordshire on Lanwick Farm, or my co-founder does. And the product has no flavourings, no essences, no preservatives. So it takes over a year to make the liquid, which is quite mad. So it is an aged apple cider vinegar base, then infused with rosemary, thyme, gentian, wormwood, orange zest, and honey.
Wow.
It's delicious. And then you serve it with soda water and a slice of orange.
Wicked. I've got all of that kit here ready. We'll do a tasting in a little bit. So are you based in Hertfordshire then?
Well, no. So our office is in London, but Sam, my co-founder, who's the maker, he makes it in Hertfordshire. So we kind of have a dual base. But all the officey stuff happens in London, and then all the making happens in Hertfordshire.
So how did it start? How do you and Sam know each other?
Actually, you know what we didn't? It's quite. I kind of love the story how it came about, because I often think within the non-alcoholic category, how these brands come about is, someone has gone sober or someone's pregnant and they found nothing out there, so then they thought, I'm going to create something, to fill this space, and we sort of stumbled upon it in a much, I guess, more organic way in my mind. Sam actually has another company called Rum Runner, which creates the drinks for really high net worth private clients. So he's basically an amazing drinks maker. And he was handpicked to do all the drinks for the Royal Wedding 2018. He did like Calvin Harris's wedding recently, etc.
No way. Is he like a mixologist? What kind of a drinks maker is he?
I don't know. Well, the company just like makes the drinks for these amazing events, but they're kind of famous because they make them all from scratch. So he'd always make the mousse from scratch, and all kinds of drinks for like the bars at these events. So he started off actually as a chef and then a bartender, and then still has this company. Anyway, Botivo was created because all these quite demanding clients were like, I want something that is all natural, no preservatives, no flavouring, something for our non-drinking guests effectively. And Sam realised that nothing that followed that brief existed sort of in the market. So he actually created the drinks to serve created Botivo, the liquid, as a drink to serve at these events. And then basically people kept coming up and saying, where do I buy this delicious thing at the end of events?
Oh, that's amazing, because it's so true, isn't it? When you're not drinking for whatever reason, so often people give you elderflower and sparkling water, and you just think, oh my God, no more sickly elderflower and sparkling water. I'm sick of it. I want something complex and interesting and bittersweet, like you say, that I can actually drink a bit more of it. When there's too much sugar, you just start to feel really icky, don't you?
Yeah, and you get that kind of fuzzy teeth thing. I always get that when I drink sugary drinks. Anyway, so
and you get a hangover from it as well. The sugar gives you a hangover, I find.
100%. I wake up in the night at sort of 3 a.m. like, what? Why am I awake? Because the sugar sort of metabolizes. But anyway, he then bottled it, and that's actually when I came into the picture. So it was a kind of cottage industry he had on the side. So he had a website and he was sort of selling a couple hundred bottles, and I tried it in that at a friend's house, someone who had bought it from his website randomly, and I became completely obsessed with it. And
Really?
Yeah, and I'm an alcohol drinker. I actually am not someone who would normally engage with an alcoholic category. Even now, I actually don't really. But I just love Botivo so much that I just was drinking it like every day, every evening, like you name it. And I just thought I have to be part of this, because if I'm loving it and I'm the least likely person to actually want to engage this category in some ways, then it's on to something really special. And then randomly, I then went to a wedding which Sam was at, and we sort of met on the dance floor, and
No way.
sort of randomly through serendipity, I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with that liquid. So anyway, so then I came on because my background was branding, and sort of basically went home that night after the wedding and wrote a huge proposal for how I wanted to be his business partner, and I wanted to redo the whole bottle and the brand and relaunch it. And he luckily, was looking to take it to the next level. And so I came on board 2 years ago and redid everything, and that's where we are now.
That's amazing. Oh my goodness, you guys have done so well in such a short space of time. That's incredible.
The was actually only March last year, so it's really only a year and a half since the bottle in the world, as you see. So feels like longer.
I love the whole universe throwing you into a wedding at the same place at the same time and having this. Did you just have this massive love of it where you're like, I'm your biggest groupie. I really love your drink.
No way. I was like, I've been looking for you. It was that kind of moment.
That's amazing. So were you a bit of a party animal then before, or still, or?
Yeah, I don't think those things. Yeah, I like a party, as we all do. I have 2 kids now that are 4-year-old twins, so that's obviously been sort of dampened.
Little dampener on the party.
Yeah, bit of a party killer. But yeah, so I've got twins that just turned 4. So, but I do still enjoy the social aspects of things. And kind of Botivo, I think for me is so different because it's not something that people drink when they're not drinking. It's something that you drink just because it's delicious. So I don't use it to replace alcohol. I just use it because I just love the flavour.
I feel like I should mix some up actually, since your the description of it is so exciting. So you have it with soda water, don't you?
Yeah,
I think you guys sent me.
Oh, great!
The bottle of Botivo, which is this beautiful bottle, and it comes with this wax cap on top, which you kind of have to peel off, don't you? Sort of a la really nice luxury spirit kind of vibe.
Yeah, I mean, the idea was that we wanted to make it like a really special occasion. So the whole way the brand and bottle was designed was to kind of create a moment. Most non-alcoholic spirits, they've got quite a lot of water in them, but Botivo, you need like cordial like quantities. So it's 1 part Botivo to 6 or 7 parts water, right? So it's like, it's very strong stuff basically. And it's
lovely, like fermented notes, nice fermented notes. That kind of, it's reminding me a little bit. I mean, there's honey and all sorts of citrus notes, but there's all kombucha vibes. That kind of lovely sour fermented notes.
It's got quite an interesting sort of flavour journey because, well, you'll see, but it sort of starts off herbally, then it goes sweet, then it ends bitter. And I think because that'll be quite a strong one, but that's fine. I mean, yeah, and then squeeze of orange. Yeah, that will be quite strong, but I think that's not a bad shout for the
more soda water.
Anyway, so you go on the sort of flavour journey. So in the beginning, you have sort of the herbs like rosemary and thyme, and then you go and you have the sort of citrus of the orange zest, then you end with the sort of bittersweet notes of the gentian and the wormwood, and then the kind of honey at the end, which is a bit sweet. So it has quite a sort of, I guess, a flavour journey to it that you can only get when you use real ingredients, because flavours kind of mute those layers.
It's lovely. It's exactly as you described it. I love this bitter drying effect on the palate at the end. Makes you immediately go back in for some more, doesn't it? But there's a real complexity to it. A lot of different flavours going on. And there's an aroma that's really kind of, wow. I wasn't expecting it to taste like that at all.
I know, you know what? But it often takes people a couple of sips to get their head around it, because it is not a mimic drink, right? It's actually a completely new taste profile in many ways, right? So people always ask us, what's it taste like? But it doesn't taste like anything. Actually, if you like bitter drinks, you like it, but it's actually a new experience. So it takes almost a couple of sips for your head to get around it and be like, okay, what is this?
Yeah, and there's that lovely kind of, I think what I really like is that lovely drying flavour that's not tannic, but it's almost tannic, which makes you think that it would be such a lovely replacement for an alcoholic, a grown-up drink in the evening, where you want that moment where you finished your day at work and you want to kind of mark the end of the day of work, and now the evening has started and you don't want another cup of tea. You want something that's got a bit of ceremony to it, don't you?
Yeah. When you go to the pub with your mates and you're not drinking, and you buy like an orange juice, you kind of find that you drink it immediately, and then you like everyone's still drinking their pint, and you have to go and queue at the bar again for another drink. And I feel like that really breaks up the momentum of an evening, and actually having something you can sort of savor feels really important in those moments.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And there's only so many, orange juice and lemonades that you can actually drink in an evening. It's not the same. My daughter, she finds it hilarious. She came to a drinks party and she said, it's really strange with adults, isn't it? She was just kind of handing around some crisps. She said, why are they all so thirsty? All we've done all evening is have a drink. At my parties, we just have a drink after we've run around.
That's so true.
Good point.
I love that.
I love it. So what is the base ingredient of this? Has it gone through like a fermentation process?
So it's an aged apple cider vinegar base. So it's aged for months and months to soften it and reduce the acidity. And, the apples are all sort of British orchards because you have to pick specific apple varieties to get that softer feel. So, people, it is a vinegar-based product, right? So that's kind of part of the Moorishness of it, is that sourness kind of makes you go back. The kind of key reason why vinegar and honey are the bases is because an aged apple cider vinegar, it's an amazing carrier of flavour. So the way I always describe it is when you think about the molecules of apple cider vinegar, because it starts its life off as alcohol vinegar, but flavour or botanicals can go really deeply into the molecules, and so they hold on to flavour really, really strongly. Well, if you have a water-based product, the flavour kind of slides off it. And so when Sam was creating it, that's why he played around with an aged apple cider vinegar and honey base, because they both are amazing sponges of flavour. And so it can sit there and also add that complexity. And I think the second part also is that they're also natural preservatives. So, if something doesn't have alcohol in it, it naturally wants to go off. And so, when you open up a normal sort of non-alcoholic spirit, it has a 4-week, around that sort of shelf life. And then people have to use potassium sorbate, which is quite a sort of aggressive preservative. But Botivo's got no preservatives, and it's got a 2-year shelf life and 1 year when open, because they're just natural preservatives. So there's so many sort of pluses to using it from a flavour point of view, but also from a sort of, I guess, health and goodness.
Yeah, we know that vinegar is so good for us with the mother and everything, so good for our gut, isn't it? But it's also, what you're saying about flavour molecules, it's giving... I've got a length now. I mean, I last had a sip 2 minutes ago. I've still got a lovely kind of essence of the flavour, that lovely long length that we're looking for when we're looking for really like great tasting products. Amazing.
Yeah. No, I know. That's what I mean. It's like blew my mind when I tried it. I was like, what? Because also I'm kind of probably similar to you in that I don't drink sweet drinks at all. I don't actually drink soft drinks or fizzy drinks, to be honest. So I was always... my whole life, I was like, if only there was a kind of savoury grown-up drink that wasn't there, So when I tasted it, I was like, all my prayers have been answered.
Yeah, it's so good. It's really good. It's and so you just serve it with like a soda. So would it be okay with like a sparkling water or something like that?
Yeah.
Have soda. Yeah,
that's
same idea.
To be honest, like we did a bit of a survey recently, and a lot of people drink it with a light tonic as well. I actually drink it a lot with booze. So 1 in 4 of our customers actually drink it with booze in the home, which is interesting because it's such a powerful flavour that it's so intense. They'll pop it into like a tequila soda or a gin and tonic to add like botanical layers to it. And that's actually how I drink. That's what I drink now, is tequila soda and Botivo, because I don't get that sugary. I can't be hungover because I have kids. So it's just a lot cleaner. But, obviously we're a non-alcoholic drink first, but it is an amazing modifier, and it's used in more and more restaurants now in both parts of the menu because it adds those sort of botanical layers to cocktails.
Really? So is that, I mean, where can people buy Botivo? Is it more served in kind of, bars and restaurants, or is it, do people have it at home?
We're in Whole Foods, I think 1,000 restaurants and stores now. I think we're in 35 of the top 100 restaurants. We're in 30 Michelin stars.
Wow.
Yeah. And online, obviously, Botivo drinks. We're on Amazon as well. We just launched there like last week.
Brilliant. And how much is the bottle?
So there are 20 drinks in a bottle. So normally non-alcoholic drinks have sort of 13, even if they're a bigger bottle, because they're 50 milliliter serves. Ours are 25, so there's 20 drinks and it's $27.50.
It's good, yeah. So it's kind of comparable, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, per drink, it's a smaller bottle, which kind of throws people off. But actually, because there's no water in it, it stretches.
You need a lot less, yeah.
So it's one of our challenges, is communicating to people it looks smaller, but actually there's more drinks in it. But that's obviously just a...
You obviously don't need very much of it to get the flavour profile.
No.
That's amazing. And does it have health benefits then, in terms of, with the vinegar and things?
Yeah, it's got loads of health benefits. I think we as a brand decided not to sort of shout about the health too much because we wanted it to be a really playful, pleasurable brand, and that's what it's rooted in. But once people sort of bought into it, they obviously realised it's got no flavouring, it's got no preservatives, it's got loads of antioxidants. Apple cider vinegar is unpasteurised, so a lot of products pasteurize it, which kills the mother and the goodness. But we've kept it all raw. It's low calorie. The signature serve is actually low sugar because it's just got soda. So it's sort of, it is really healthy, but we made a decision to make that a secondary message because I want people to drink it because it tastes amazing, not because it's like a health drink. And I think it's almost a reason why it's an added reason to come back, not the reason to come to the drink. You come for the taste and you stay for the health.
Yeah, but it's the trend now, though, isn't it? We're really seeing that, particularly with kind of the younger end, the Gen Z drinkers who are not drinking so much alcohol. They're drinking functional drinks. They're looking for alternatives that actually add something to their body if they're going to sit there and, have two or three in an evening with friends. They actually want it to do a thing. They want it to have a function, which is, it's great. I mean, for my generation where we never really worried about it too much and probably drank bottles of wine that were 2 for $5 from goodness knows where, it's suddenly like quite novel, I think, to be kind of experiencing this whole idea of like, oh, having fun and it being quite good for you. This is ace. This is great. This is having it all, isn't it?
I know. We were told we can have it all, but we can. No, it's
although
so
can
true.
we? As one working mother to another, can't have it all, can you?
No, the guilt is definitely real. That's for sure.
It's a juggle, isn't it? I mean, I don't know how you find it. Are your kids at school yet?
They just started school like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Going okay?
Yeah, I think I say what's quite interesting about twins, often you have like one really outgoing one and one that is a bit more shy. And that's exactly what's happened in our situation. So I think one of them's loving it and one of them is sort of comes back from school and talks about everyone in the class, but then sort of admits that they haven't spoken to anyone yet. But they're observing, and in time they will, I'm sure, make the approach. But they're sort of still in the stage of observing and sussing everyone out,
filtering out the really annoying ones to just go and get the really good ones. Well, apparently my brother used to do that. We're not twins, but I used to go in and speak to absolutely everyone. He'd hold back and be like, oh, I've now selected 2 that I want to be friends with.
Having a filter system as a sibling, it's such a good idea.
So are you based in London then? You're doing all of this and co-founding the company from London?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, our office is in Highbury, and I live in London Fields in Hackney. And actually a lot of the team live around here. So Sam is at the farm probably 3 days making, and then he's in the office like 2 days, and then we're all based in London in the office.
Oh, interesting. And what's day to day like for you guys then? So I assume you're not keeping all the stock in London. Is that being distributed around the country from Hertfordshire?
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll sort of make it there and then goes out to the sort of people that fulfill it. Day to day, it depends on like the role. So Sam and I, it's quite interesting because often mostly all liquids are normally outsourced in our category, right? So they're made in fragrance houses or people that make loads of different liquids. We're quite unusual in that we make it all ourselves. So, it's all made by hand. And what that means is that our roles are completely separate in many ways because Sam is all operations and the maker. I run the brand, the marketing, the sales and the investment sort of raising part of it. And obviously then we cross over, but the roles are quite separate. So our day-to-day is very, very different. If you ask him that question, it would be, cleaning out tanks, stirring things, doing all the crafty stuff. I do a lot of, we're very brand forward. So I think the kind of key thing for me, because my background is branding, was I just wanted to make a non-alcoholic drinks brand that felt really playful and really hedonistic almost in the way that it was presented, even though it was an alcoholic drink. Because I think just because something doesn't have alcohol in it doesn't mean that it can't be an extremely pleasurable, hedonistic feeling in terms of the liquid and the brand world. We're obviously gaining traction, but the first year was very much like knocking on doors and getting sommeliers and people, who had authority to taste it. Because again, I think within the non-alcoholic category, there have been so many liquids that people have been burnt with in the past. And so, normally in marketing, you have the stage 1, which is about awareness of your product or brand. But in non-alcoholic drinks, there's a whole other stage, which is credibility that has to happen first. So the whole first year was spent sending it to food critics, sending it to sommeliers, sending it to, people who others, people who wouldn't lie about how good it was, basically.
Yeah.
And then when they said it was good, taking that quote and then showing it to other people to prove that it was good, and then sort of taking it from there. So that was sort of the whole of last year. And now we're building the brand outwards more, and we've got that sort of credibility. So now it's about how do we really focus in on the brand and make it sort of much more visible and loud.
Yeah, that's excellent though, isn't it? Because you're right, there have been a lot of non-alcoholic spirits that have hit the market, which have been, quite frankly, disgusting. There have been a number that, I've ended up saying, just know that I can't write a thing, or I can't have them on the show because I don't want to be rude, because if you don't like it, you don't like it. And it's, there are some that are just, honestly, I'm not going to name any names, but this genuinely has that lovely, like you say, sweet, bitter. There's a lot of different flavors going on there that makes it interesting and exciting. I mean, you have won some flavor awards and things, haven't you?
Yep, we are. Yeah, we won like Outstanding Great Taste. We won the highest points globally in the IWSC for our category.
Brilliant. So the IWSC is the International Wine and Spirit competition.
Exactly. So that's sort of the one that trade looked to and is respected within that. So consumers didn't necessarily know about it, but trade sort of respect it. So having the highest points globally was a really good, again, another good like credibility point. And then when is this podcast coming out? Because I have got another award, but it's on embargo until the end of October.
Well, we can push it back.
Well, no. So we also we won like the top gold in the Great British Food and Drink Awards, which
wow.
Yeah, so that is, but it's being announced end of October. So
brilliant. And you got a 1 star on the Great Taste as well.
We got 2 stars.
Oh, you got 2 star. 2 stars, really good.
Yeah, we got top kind of 2.
Yeah. 2 star is top level. Amazing. That's really cool. So you're getting all these awards and accolades and everything. So people are seeing it, they're tasting it, they're getting it.
Yeah, really. Exactly. That's the plan. The plan is to sort of take over the world and give people a delicious option in every drink, every restaurant and bar, that we can.
Is that the plan then? That's going forwards now. You want to, if you're already in 1,000 stores, you've obviously got really good distribution across grocery stores and things.
Yes, that's 1,000 stores and restaurants and bars all together. So it's sort of half stores and half restaurants and bars. So
are you going to go abroad with it?
We're just launching. We're just about to go into Denmark, and then we're looking to open up, I think, maybe 4 other European markets this year, and then we would look to go to America, but in like 2026. So not for a while. We need a lot more money to be raised before we even attempt to sort of dip our toe in quite a sort of spicy territory in terms of cost. But the strategy is kind of simple in that we're not looking to like release loads of different SKUs. Like we're very much about making our single. When I say SKU, I mean product. We're looking to make
like flavor variety.
Yeah, exactly, or format. But we're just looking to make this one iconic. So I always talk about like Aperol. Like when you go into a restaurant, you know what you're going to get with Aperol. It's in every place. It's that lighthouse moment when you see it and you're like, great, I've got an Aperol, And I want that to be what Botivo is. So we're not interested in releasing like thousands of different flavors or different types. We just want to make this one super iconic and on every sort of menu and bar, and for people to know what it is.
That's a really smart idea, because I think a lot of people do that, don't they? They have their one core and then suddenly they've got 3 in the core range, and then the summer special and the winter special. And I think Pimm's did that. Pimm's is Pimm's, right? And then they brought out a winter Pimm's and a summer Pimm's, and it was a bit like, you're just summer Pimm's though. That is Pimm's, isn't it? That kind of iconic drink. Yeah. Aperol, the same.
Exactly. And I think how we are able to communicate our innovation equity and show that we're doing things differently is every 6 months we're releasing a very limited edition batch of like 600 bottles in partnership with an amazing restaurant or another brand that we really admire from a taste point of view. And so our first one was in July with Maison Francois, that sort of French, very delicious St. James brasserie. And so we had a completely different botanicals in it, and Sam made it because he as well, and it had artichoke and star anise and fennel pollen in it, and it was a sort of pastis inspired liquid. Completely different, but we did 600 bottles, and that's, I think, how we're going to continue to show that we are innovative and different, but releasing permanent varieties, I think, is just a lot of hard work and a lot of education needed, to show people what it is and teach them.
Yeah, it sounds like a great strategy. I'm looking forward to keeping my eye out for it now everywhere. Like you say, you've created a really iconic looking label. It's a beautiful label. It's a kind of, just yellow, black and white. And it's a picture. It looks very French in many ways, a sort of street scene, people playing at a piano. Somebody's lying on the top of the piano drinking. Another lady's sort of throwing some flowers. There's a dog, I think. I mean, it's an entertaining scene, isn't it, on the front label?
Yeah, it's drawn by this amazing artist called Rosalina Bakova, who is she's based out in Barcelona, but she's Bulgarian, and so I think she brings a lot of that vibe to it. And I've always loved her work. She's a friend of mine because she creates these banquet scenes where whenever you see them, you just think, God, I want to be at that party.
Yeah.
It's always the characters are just so inviting, and that's actually only the middle part of the scene that she's created for Botivo. So if you go onto our website or our Instagram, for example, there's actually 21 characters that are Botivo characters, and we use them across different assets, like on Instagram or on our website, etc. And we're going to be using them more and more. But the kind of whole thinking behind it was that when we were creating the brand, we felt like the world of the non-alcoholic world still felt very kind of white and very hetero, which obviously is not reflective of our team or even of London or the world today. And so we worked to have really interesting characters. If you look at the brand world on the 21 ones, we have people that are older, younger, different sizes, different genders, different sexualities, different ethnicities. And the idea was that, there was someone, people who aren't able-bodied, for example, just a whole range of people that are supposed to reflect the modern tapestry of life.
Nice.
So that was sort of a really conscious thing, which was really important to us and has come through these kind of joyous characters, which are all kind of partying together.
Oh, I love it. I love the idea that you can look at it and there's somebody there.
Yeah, and the characters they're named after a few of our pals. So there's like Jack, the guy, Kate and her girlfriend are like this sort of couple, one with a pirate patch on, which is amazing in the kind of broader world. So yeah, it's quite fun.
That's really cool. I love it. What a cool brand. You guys have done incredibly. So look out for that then. Head to, what's the website again?
www.botivodrinks.com.
Botivodrinks.com. Brilliant. Get yourself a bottle. Really recommend everyone keeps a bottle of this on the shelf. Doesn't need to go in the fridge, does it? On the shelf.
No, that's one of the great things.
Amazing. Emmy, thank you so much for coming in. It was so lovely to meet you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK and further afield. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Audible. Please remember to subscribe and rate us with 5 stars or follow us. It makes such a difference, not just to our podcast and radio show, but it really helps to support the guests that come on the show with us. We're also on Instagram at food_rebels. So give us a follow, do get in touch. We love hearing from you and let us know what you think. Thanks so much for joining us and make sure you taste the rebellion.